his most trusted soldier, Lucky Luciano himself, has gone behind his back and betrayed him. On September 10th, 1931, Salvatore Maranzano was killed in his little real estate office. Luciano has made a deal with Maranzano to take over Masseria's rackets and be Maranzano's number 2. On this, he's got heavyweights like Joseph Joey Bonanno, Tommy Lucchese, and none other than our own Mr. Carlo Gambino.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Dana Trupiana and I cover infamous gangsters in a true crime-like format. So I have a really great episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking about Carlo Gambino, and once again, this has been definitely by far leagues and leagues and leagues beyond has been my most requested video. And I apologize that I am incredibly stuffy. My life is hell. So let's go ahead and get started with Mr. Carlo Gambino. Carlo Gambino was born on August 24th, 1902 in Palermo, Sicily. Now, Palermo is located in northern Sicily. Gambino's parents were Felicia Castellana and Tommaso Gambino. If you're someone who's done a lot of research on the Mafia yourself, or you know all of this stuff because you've been watching for a while, definitely feel free to go ahead and skip to the next chapter. In 1921, at the age of 19 years old, he became a made man and was inducted into the Cosa Nostra in Sicily. In 1921, Gambino hid away on a freight ship called the SS Vincenzo and arrived in Florida in America on December 23rd, 1921. His dad passed away in May of 1919 when Carlo was 16 years old. On December 5th, 1926, Gambino made a weird decision. He decides that he's gonna marry Caterina Castellano. Does that name sound familiar? It should, because Caterina is his first cousin. They got married in America when Carlo was 24 years old and Kate, his new wife, was 19. Carlo and Kate would go on to have 4 children together. Felicia Catherine Phyllis Gambino was born on September 27th, 1927. His second son, Tommaso G. Gambino, was born on August 23rd, 1929, and he would go on to be a doctor. Giuseppe Joseph Charles Gambino was born on March 28, 1936, and the baby of the family, Emmanuel Carlo Gambino, was born on March 28, 1944. Now, a huge reason that Gambino was able to build up his reputation and become who he would go on to become was because of his criminal dealings. He did a lot of really brutal shit, and he made the call for a lot of lives to be taken. Even with these brutal crimes and all the blood on his hands, Carlo was known to be a very devoted family member. He was very good about keeping his personal life and his illicit activities completely separate from each other. The Gambino family actually lived a pretty modest lifestyle. They maintained a very low profile, and that helped Carlo evade law enforcement for a really long time. He was only convicted 1 time in his entire life, and that's throughout one of the most successful mafia lifetimes in modern history, so he was definitely doing something right. The family lived in Brooklyn at 2230 Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn. Thomas Gambino, Carlo's oldest son, was deeply involved in the operations of the family. He was well known for his business acumen, and he managed the family's interests in the garment district. Joseph Gambino, another one of Carlo's sons, was also involved in the family's operations. The reason that the family is still, to this day, known as the Gambino crime family is because of Joseph Valachi. But we're going to go ahead and go through the Castellammarese War, what it was, where it came from, who fought it. The Castellammarese War was an all-out bloodbath between 2 warring factions in the Sicilian Mafia, and they each wanted to take control of the Mafia in America after this wave of Italian immigrants came into the country in the early 1900s. The first thing we gotta go over is that the Castellammarese War, it is a war between 2 factions. But there's levels to this shit, okay? On the surface level, this is a war between 2 big, huge mafia bosses, right? On one side, you've got Giuseppe Joe the Boss Masseria, a mafia giant that climbed the ranks through the Black Hand. On the other side, you've got Salvatore Maranzano, a mafia mastermind coming straight from Sicily, where he worked under Don Vito Ferro.
Now, Salvatore Maranzano, when he was back in Castellamare del Golfo, Don Vito Ferro gave him his master plan. Ferro wanted him to come to America so that he could take control of the American Mafia in his name. Maranzano comes to America with one mission: take control of the Mafia here, dispatch that annoying little peasant Joe Masseria that's running around calling himself the boss, and run the country's Mafia the way that Don Vito Ferro wants it run. On layer 1, you've got Masseria versus Maranzano. On that front, in one corner, we've got Masseria, and his team is stacked. He's got guys like Lucky Luciano, Albert Anastasia, Vito Genovese, and that's only the names that you know. There were a ton more that we're not even going to mention. In the other corner, we've got Salvatore Maranzano, and Maranzano is not lacking. He's got heavyweights like Joseph Joey Bonanno, Tommy Lucchese, and none other than our own Mr. Carlo Gambino. And again, those are just the big names, not even close to the whole deck. Two of Lucky Luciano's BFFs are Meyer Lansky and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, and if it were up to the Mustache Pete's, he would never even look their way. That's a problem for him, because not only are they some of his closest confidants, they're some of his biggest earners, and he doesn't see how he could run his business without them, and he doesn't want to figure it out. So he starts rounding these guys up, and these guys that are shooting at each other during the day are meeting up and chilling at night. So the stage is set. Alliances have formed and wars are being fought, and 1931 rolls around. While Masseria has arguably a lot more power on his team, he does have a problem. Again, he's a Mustache Pete, and he has no idea that the Young Turks exist. He has no idea that he's fighting this war on two fronts, and that his closest ally and his number 2, Lucky Luciano, is heading that war against him. But the Turks, they're tired of being at war, so they start taking a long, hard look at the two heavyweights that are battling it out. And when they take a step back and look at it, it turns out that Salvatore Maranzano does have some progressive ideas that line up with the way that the Turks think. He's a huge fan of the Roman Empire, and he has this idea to put things together in a way that pretty closely aligns with the way that the Turks want to see things put together. Maranzano wants to create a structure in the Mafia that would have it looking a lot like the government of the Roman Empire. New York segregated into 5 families, with one boss in each of those families, and each of those bosses having a seat at the commission. What Luciano wants is much more humble than that, the number 2 seat. He likes Maranzano's idea of 5 official families in New York, and a family for each territory outside of New York. New Orleans, Detroit, Los Angeles, Florida, they can all have their own territory. So after 2 years at war, in 1931, Luciano decides enough is enough, he's not doing this anymore. Him and his boys approach Maranzano and they work out a deal. We'll take out Masseria, we'll put you in the number 1 spot as the Capo di Tutti Capi, but we're gonna need to come to some agreements. First off, I want to be number 2. I want my own New York family, I want a seat on the commission, and I want a say in how the rest of the families are put together. Maranzano is sick of the war himself. Everybody's sick of this war. It's been going on over 2 years. And this conversation is making him see a clear path to victory, so he agrees. He takes Luciano on as his number 2, and together they appoint the remaining 3 families a boss. Luciano takes a family, Maranzano takes a family, and they put Tommy Gagliano, Joseph Perfacci, and Frank Scalice as the bosses of the remaining families. Luciano is the one that's on the streets doing all the legwork. All the people are being run by his management anyway. Masseria is getting shot up every time he leaves the office. Once Masseria isn't around anymore, Luciano can just put the word out like, hey, instead of being number 2, I'm number 1, come to me with your issues, no problems, smooth sailing, perfect. Joe Perfacci is a no-brainer. He's already been leading this family since 1928. So the structure has been built, everything is in place, now all that's left to do is end this war and get everything solidified. Too easy. Masseria, he's chilling, he's good. He's winning this war, everything is looking up for Masseria. Everything's going his way, until it's not. Luciano is Masseria's number 2, and he's feeling great about this, no issues. But then he gets a whisper in his ear one day. His most trusted soldier, Lucky Luciano himself, has gone behind his back and betrayed him. Luciano has made a deal with Maranzano to take over Massaria's rackets and be Maranzano's number 2 on this absurd idea of a commission that these two idiots put together. That's okay though, because Massaria, he has a secret weapon, and his name is Joe Adonis. Massaria goes to Adonis and he's like, hey, so here's the plan. You kill him and I'll give you his spot. Remember, Massaria has no idea that the Young Turks exist. So he has no idea that Adonis and Luciano are actually BFFs. And that this whole group of younger gangsters has been getting together and scheming behind their back and doing bonding exercises for years. Adonis gets this order to take out Luciano, and what's his first stop? He knocks on Luciano's door. He's like, oh my god, you would not believe what Massaria just said. And they're laughing together like it's super funny. So he goes to Massaria and he's like, hey, I heard you wanted me dead. I'm not sure why. Like, I don't know what you heard, but like, you're my man. Like I ride or die for you. You know what? How about this? Let's go to lunch. We'll chill, we'll chop it up, we'll play some cards, I'll show you that I'm your boy still. So they set up a lunch date for April 15th, 1931 at Nuova Villa Tamaro in Coney Island. Now, during this lunch, they're chilling, they're professing love for each other, playing cards, and Luciano is like, all right, I gotta pee. While he's in the bathroom, a bunch of dudes bust in the door, and finally, somebody is successful and they take out the destructible Giuseppe Joe the Boss Massaria. So, yay, win. Castello Marisi War officially over. Salvatore Maranzano is the new head honcho, and they immediately go to work setting up these families and putting the structure in place of the commission. But see, Luciano has a little bit of a problem with authority, and he starts feeling like Maranzano might just be worse than Massaria ever was. So he's gotta go now too. And Maranzano has the same exact story as Massaria. He heard whisperings that Luciano's gonna take him out, so he decides he's gonna off Luciano first. Luciano goes to our Mr. Carlo Gambino and he's like, hey, let's get rid of every single one of them. And we're just gonna build this shit from the ground up. The Young Turks is gonna be the new mafia. So Luciano and Gambino, they put their heads together and they come up with a plan to take out Maranzano. They assemble a team of Jewish gangsters that none of Maranzano's people have ever known before, and they set up a plan to take out Maranzano. Less than half a year after Maranzano took the title of Capo di Tutti Capi, on September 10th, 1931, Salvatore Maranzano was killed in his little real estate office. And a fellow Young Turk fringe outlier, Joseph Bonanno, is given control of the Maranzano family. And Maranzano's little butt buddy, Frank Scalice, he was kindly asked to resign from his position as boss of the family. In his place, Vincent the Executioner Mangano was installed as the new boss of the family. Okay, so now that we've gone through all the history, unfortunately, usually when I do an episode, the first episode of the series always has to go through all the history, and it can be a little tedious, but it does need to happen so that you can understand everything that's coming. Now that the history is out of the way, we can start getting into the nitty-gritty of who Gambino is and the epic empire that he's about to build. I'm sorry that this episode ran like really long. I hope you guys enjoyed this little refresher course. If you already knew all of this, come back next week so we can continue going through Gambino and the crazy shit that he does.